the three of us coached together for 25 years. And we all coached together at Blaine. We all came there about the same time. We all moved to Champlain Park together. And I want to mention those two guys. Jim Rosenkrantz, unfortunately, unable to be here. He lives in Seattle now. But he was our sprint coach and fabulous coach. He was a Mounds View product. I see Bob Stewart down there. Bob was Jim's coach. And by the way, Bob used to give us, I think because he knew Jim so well, he used to give us lots of help, and we needed a lot of help. And whenever I'd have a question about something, how he did something, he was more than happy to give me all the help he could. I was always impressed by his track booklet. He had such a detailed track booklet. And I remember asking him if I could get a copy of that and try to do something like that at Blaine. And of course he gave me a copy, and that was always one of the things I worked hardest on, and I kind of became a fanatic about record keeping. And as my wife can attest to, I spent more time than I should have probably sitting in front of a typewriter or later a computer. You know, when we had typewriters, keeping track of records was difficult. You know what, Mom? You had to, every time there was a new record, or if you had an honor roll of the top 10 times or something, you had to retype that whole page. You couldn't just insert, you know, or delete or anything like that. And so I want to publicly thank my wife for taking on more of the chores than she should have, because I was always busy down the basement with that darn typewriter. I was an association secretary for a long time, for 21 years. And I just want to put in a plug for the work with the association. You guys who are younger coaches, I would really encourage you to get involved. I can honestly say there was not a single task as a secretary-treasurer that I did that I didn't just love to do. And it was something that I would never give up. But beyond that, you know, it gives you a chance to give back, but it also gives you a chance to create a network of coaching friends that you can go to with questions. And I heard Mark Embertson's name here today. And he was a coach that I often talked to. Bob Stewart, of course, I already mentioned. But you get to know so many coaches around the state, and they're such good people. I think in track especially. And they're willing to spend time with you on the phone, email, whatever it might be, and help you out when you just don't know what to do in a certain situation. So if you're wondering about that, getting involved in the association, I think that's a benefit that was something that I just appreciated so much. I had many good athletes along the way, and I had a couple of stories. I don't think I'm going to tell all these stories at this particular point, but maybe I'll just add one more thing here. About 6 months ago, I got an email, kind of a mystery email. And I started to read it, and it wasn't really signed. And it said, are you Coach Hersch, who used to coach seventh grade basketball in Mount Morris, Michigan in 1968? This was about 6 months ago. And he said, if you are, I was on that team, and I managed to find your email address, but I'm not going to tell you who I am. But he gave me some hints, and he wanted me to guess. This is about 40 years ago. I haven't seen him since. And I got out my records, and I still had the little booklet that I made at the end of the basketball season. This was my first year of teaching. I was in Michigan, didn't know anybody in Michigan. And I got out the booklet and looked through it and emailed him back, and I said, "You're Gene Plowcher, and you shot 75% from the free throw line." And I'll be darned if I wasn't right. And that was such a fun thing to reconnect with someone like that. I told him he won the award for being the oldest former athlete to get in touch with me. You know, when I knew him, he was 12, and I was 22. And, you know, believe it or not, people change from the time they're 12 until they're 52. It just turned out that he now lives in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is about an hour from where my daughter lives in Knoxville. And we went in November to visit my daughter and husband in Knoxville, and I arranged with Gene to get together. So my wife and I went and met him for lunch, and he's kind of a big golfer, and we met at his country club, and as we were walking in, there was a guy walking toward me, and I thought, that's Gene, and it was, and I think I would have recognized him. He said he would have recognized me. Of course, he's changed a lot, you know, but I don't think I've probably changed at all. But just that experience is kind of makes it all worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you, John. No, John went about 10, 12 minutes there, but as Bud Bjornia and Dick Norman's wife would say, they just cleared their throat. Just want to say, you know, John is one of those guys I got to coach against early in my career, and Bob Stewart, you know, introduced us, and he just, first time we met, Bob, I remember what he said to me. He said, "There's one of the classiest guys you're going to meet in coaching, Jon Hersch." So thank you very much, and I'm done.
Napkin.
It's time to stretch, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to move, well, we're going to ask you politely to put your chairs in, if you would, as you leave. And as the time indicates, we're going to move to the last session of the day. And there's one in the main auditorium, the north alcove, the south alcove, and room 101. If we move to those areas, again, if you would politely move your chairs in.